Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Black Directory podcast. This is your host, Diamond Young, and I am super, super excited today. I have a very special guest. I've been up late at night, just so excited about this interview. We have a special guest, Marcus Bowers. How are you doing?
Crowd goes wild. I'm doing amazing. I am doing amazing. Happy Wednesday. So excited to be here, to be part of this interview, your podcast. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm so happy to have you. What is it? Happy Wednesday. Happy Black History Month.
Happy everything,
Right.
It definitely is. I try to be happy every day, but this is definitely a month that we can celebrate each other. Happy Black History Month to everybody listening, including yourself. Happy Black History Month. I feel like anybody that's creating content understands how important it is to be remembered and to be great later, so you got to create to be great. So happy Black History Month, John.
Thank you. You too. I think that something that we have in common is we both care so much about the Black community. We're constantly pouring back and trying to figure out how to bring the next person along. So that's really one reason why I'm excited about this interview. My goal is for people to understand your journey, where you've been, where you come from, just some things that you've learned, because our audience is mostly Black entrepreneurs. And the goal is to have them stay the course, right? Like, things aren't always going to be perfect, but the more we share our stories and our testimonies, people are going to naturally be encouraged of like, okay, maybe I can do this, or maybe I can go into that new industry. So that's just a little bit more about, just what I hope the audience is. Well, I know they'll be able to get that from you today. So I want to, before I even go into what you do, and just to rewind back a little bit, Marcus is not only a serial entrepreneur, but he's the co-founder of She's Happy Hair. And he's just doing so much, not even just for the Houston community, but for all communities. Everywhere he can put his feet and go, he's going to touch as many people as he can. So just wanting to give you all that context. But before we go into She's Happy Hair and how that got started, where would you say it really started for you? Because I know that you were in the U.S. Navy. So tell me a little bit more about that.
So I guess it started for me at home. My mom, she, when we was growing up, she used to actually have us doing schoolwork at home, so I love learning, and I think it's kind of stemmed from there. My mom, she, when I was doing homework, when she wasn't even our teacher, so I thought that was almost child abuse kind of, but now I appreciate it. And so that's kind of where it started, so I just started loving to learn early on. And then as time went on, I, was in advanced placement classes in middle school, high school, elementary, all that.
Talk about it.
I let them know, I'm a professional reader out loud. You know what I'm saying? Some people can't read out.
You're right.
A lot of those things that people didn't used to brag on, I still brag on those things. And so I just use that energy to continue being different from everybody else. I grew up in right here in Houston, off Martin Luther King Boulevard. I tell everybody, if you grow up on Martin Luther King Boulevard, it's a struggle. It's a certain environment, certain decisions that you got to make in order to get out of wherever you at. And I never joined any gangs. I never did anything that I wasn't supposed to do other than get better. And so I just kept getting better. And over time, I realized I can't get better where I was at because there wasn't enough resources, so I had to go somewhere else to get those resources to continue getting better. And that's when I decided to go to the United States Navy. And that changed my life. That changed my life and saved my life, because when you grow up in the hood and you grow up wearing hand-me-down drawers and your first day of school, you got your sister clothes on, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got free lunch cards and stuff. You catch the bus to and from school, or you walking. And the walk, it wasn't that good either. You walking through these neighborhoods where anything can happen. So when you come from that and you see that those lack of resources are not around you for you to advance your life, you just got to get up and go. And so 2 weeks after graduating high school, I was out. I was in the Navy. I was on a plane. My first flight, my first time on the plane, the Navy paid for it.
Wow.
I can't remember the last time that I had something new where I was able to pop a tag. But when I went to the Navy, you go to boot camp, you got brand new everything. You know what I'm saying? Had brand new
Yes.
drawers, brand new socks, brand new pants, shirts. You know what I'm saying? A brand new bed. You know what I'm saying? Sheets. I had brand new everything, so it was like really life changing for me. And so I always make sure that people know that that was one of the biggest, best decisions that I ever made, because when I didn't have any resources or any leaders around me, I was able to go get those resources and go be around some leaders that wanted me to be the best me, because their lives depended on it. You know, when you're
Yes.
in the military, you know, everybody around you wants you to be the best you can be, because their lives depend on it. So they pushing you as much as
Mm.
possible, you know, whether it's you learning more, or doing more push-ups, or your body doing something that it never thought it could do. And so when that happens to you, you take that same energy and you're able to come out here and conquer everything else with ease, because you did so many other crazy things in the military, like jump out of airplanes and helicopters and swim in the middle.
Ah,
You know what
I
I'm saying?
can't imagine.
So yeah, the Navy. I love it. I recommend it for anybody that was, that lived the way I used to live, that come from where I come from, that didn't have a dad or father figure. This is for males and females. I feel like you could definitely go and get all the resources that you're gonna need now and later. Even later,
Yep.
even afterwards, you get so many benefits. I mean, it's so much I could talk about as far as the military, not just the Navy, but the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Army and Marines. You see, I said them last, though, you know what I'm saying? And so you want to go to the other ones first, you know what I'm
I
saying?
caught that.
If you just gotta go somewhere, right, to get out of your situation, the Army
Yeah.
is not that bad. I lost more people in the streets in my neighborhood than I did in the military. You know what I'm saying? So people always talk about wartime and you have
Yeah.
your life and all that, and I can't relate. Everything that people say that's stuck in the hood about not going to fight and protect and serve and all those things and put on their uniform, I can't relate. I'm like, what are you talking about? You should have went. You know what I'm saying? So I recommend anybody that's trying to figure it out to go get paid to figure it out. If you're in high school right now, you don't know if you want to go to college, you don't know what to do. You got 4 years. You can go enlist in the Navy or the Air Force, and they'll pay you for 4 years, and you can figure out
Mm-hmm.
what you want to do. And then after you figure out what you want to do after those 4 years of being paid, because I got out the Navy, I was 1,000 there. I had more money in my bank account than everybody in my household as soon as I graduated from boot camp, and I haven't been broke since. My nickname in San Diego was Pop Trump. So if you know anything about H-Town, and we hitting the switches and we waving at boys and we got the customer, I had all that at 18. At 18, fresh out of boot camp, because I had extra money coming in. So if you broke and you stuck right now, you 17, and you about to graduate, man, you can go change your name in another city and
Yeah.
getting paid. So don't struggle where you at right now when you don't have to. When you can just go protect and serve. Just go do it. Go knock it out. I think it's the best decision not that I've made, but even the people around me. I look at some of my peers, some of my homeboys that are veterans, and then I look
Mm-hmm.
at some of the black people that's in here in the U.S. that aren't veterans, and I look at the benefits, and they're not equal.
Yeah.
So make sure you
No,
go.
I totally get that. And I can relate in the sense that I'm the youngest in the household, only girl, two older brothers. Soon as, like you said, 17, 18, one went to the Air Force, one went to the Army, and then I was the one that went to college. So we all kind of did something different. But I was able to see the impact that had, as far as, like you said, you're in a neighborhood where no telling what's going to happen if you don't take that route. Say if you don't have a plan, you're not really sure. And I always remember, I was very observant, but I remember thinking like, oh wow, for them, as I got older, like, oh wow, for them, that was a lot of money at 18. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, they can travel and they could experience things that, maybe our mom couldn't provide, because single mother household, them sharing clothes, that they always shared a room. I always got my own room because I was a girl, but they would share a room. And I just remember them feeling like, okay, this is what's best for me. This is what I'm going to do. And it did pay for school. It's like I was able to see those benefits. But something that I want to know from you is, was there ever a moment where you were like, should I or should I not? I don't want to leave mom. I don't want to leave siblings. Like, did you have any kind of, you felt
Man,
yourself looking over your shoulder, or you were like, couldn't wait to get out?
so for me, I really grew up hard. I grew up hard. My mom didn't graduate high school. She didn't finish the ninth grade. So,
Mm.
I'm the youngest out of six.
Six.
I think my mom had me when she was like 19, right? So 19,
Wow.
she had six of us. So the struggle been real. And then when I grew up, you had to fight. You ain't, it wasn't like you fought if you wanted to. Like you had to fight. It was like either you fight or you get picked on and punked every day. And so because I didn't join any gangs, no Crips, no Bloods, I had everybody trying to figure out if I was the guy that that I was gonna be the butt of the joke, so that you was gonna be able to pick on that day. And so I got kicked out of schools. I got kicked out of HISD. I always protected and served not just myself, but the people around me. Even before I went to the military, I've never seen one of my homeboys, get beat up. And so I'm proud, and I say that because that's important. When you are growing up in a certain environment, you don't want to stay there. It was nothing for me to be like, where do I sign? Because I knew that if I'd have went to TSU or Prairie View or any of these, just hung out in the hood, I already knew what was going to happen because I had created
Mm.
so much animosity from so many different environments, just from survival mode. And, when you grew up the way I grew up and you went to Worthing High School, we had team fights. Our basketball team didn't finish a lot of games. It was really that type of environment. So for me, the best thing I could have did was get away from where I was at and go see something different, go be around different people where I didn't even have to use the N word the same way. Nobody was sagging
Yeah.
the pants, you know what I'm saying? We had to spit shine our shoes, we had to make our bed. We were getting the things that we wasn't getting where I was at. So I'm glad I went. I actually call it the Underground Railroad. I feel like anybody that's stuck right now, just like we were stuck in slavery, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you're growing up in an environment like I'm talking about that you want to get out of, you grew up with roaches, now not rats. That's another level. But you grew up with roaches, you know what I'm saying? We all do. Cut the kitchen light on and roaches be scared. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was a part of you, right? That was a part of me. If that was a part of you, you ain't got to stay there. You can go, and I call it the Underground Railroad because you get all the benefits that you need for the rest of your life. Just like when you escaped from slavery, you had nothing. You had nothing. You had to go through the Underground Railroad to get the rest of the freedom, to get any type of access to anything. And so I remember when we were going through the Underground Railroad years ago, we actually didn't have anywhere to go when we got up north. It was snowing. It was cold. Where are we going to go? Ain't no clothes. We ain't no shelter. They don't want to hire.
Mm-hmm.
They're black. And so with that, it was like, okay,
Right.
well, the only people that's going to give us shelter and money and clothes and food is the military bases. Why? Because they need help. We losing. They losing the war. The Civil War was won because we actually picked up arms and joined other white men and women that also thought the way that we thought. They couldn't have done it without us, just like we couldn't have done it without them. So I think it's important for us to always remember that we got to keep fighting. We are a signature away from going back into slavery. You know what I'm saying? All they got to do is sign
Yeah.
the right amendment, and it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? So we got to keep voting, keep registering, as well as keep enlisting. Because you want to go get that training in case a war does start. If a war starts and somebody comes to the U.S. on the soil with some type of drama, you want to know what to do. You don't want to be having to call the police and everybody else all the time. You want to be properly trained, on how to protect and serve yourself, your family, and your community for the rest of your life.
No, I'm totally in agreement with you, and I definitely wanted to make sure that we were able to just touch on the beginning right before we go into the present. So, when did you decide to leave the military? What was that process like for you? And did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Um, yeah, so no, I never knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. This is totally accidental, but I'm never going back. I want you to know that I'm never going back. But the military, I guess the one of the biggest things that I got from going was just knowing that I was gonna be different from everybody else. The skills that you get, life saving, discipline, educational, everything that you get is important to get that at 18 and 19 in the foundation, right? So that way you
Mm-hmm.
know that this is what you got to do, not just right now, but for the rest of your life. You got to work out for the rest of your life to keep abs. And you don't learn
Mm-hmm.
that unless you go to, you're around certain leaders that are teaching you, like, care about your body 5 years from now. Watch what you eat. Wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Why are you waking up at 10, 12 noon? It's so many things you can accomplish if you wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You get all those things, and then the more you read, the more money you make. I remember when I was in the Navy, you join the military, you join anything, just like any job. You get the opportunity, they're going to pay you this, they're going to give you this title. It's up to you to stay there and keep doing what they're paying you to do. And it's also up to you to read on how to make more money in your position or to ask for more money when your evaluation come up. And so in the military, you got to read, pass these exams. And the more you read and the more exams you pass, that's what's going to determine how much money you go make. And if you're not passing exams in comparison to your peers, if your grade is good as your peers, then you go stay in the same ranking that you're in, right? But if they look better or equal to, you move up in rank. And so that's just what life is. Everybody in life just kind of wakes up every day and not learn, and not try to get better. And you try to stay the same. You want more, but you're not doing more. You just want more, do more, get more in that order. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just get more because you want it. Just want more, do more, get more. So you can't
put the work in.
And so for me, I think that's what the military taught me, that I was able to get out and jump into entrepreneurship on accident. As soon as I got out the Navy, I was still mentally, thinking like, all right, what's next, right? I don't know. I got all this money in my bank account. What am I going to do? Anything, right? So I started working as a security officer. I had a security position. I worked at the City of Houston wastewater facility. We got real dirty every day. That was a horrible job. That was the job where we sprayed mud with water hose. So we sprayed mud with the fire hose until the mud disappeared. So the mud didn't always just disappear. It splattered on you a lot of times. So, that was my job.
Yeah, that's a dirty job, literally.
God put me on earth for this. You know what I'm saying? And so as I kept getting these positions, I just keep looking around, asking people like, man, what you do? What you do? What you do? And I call them coffee cup holders, because whatever industry that you're in, there's people telling you what to do. There's somebody holding a cup of coffee or something every morning with a suit on. I don't care what your outfit is, whatever your uniform is, there's somebody with a suit on, drinking coffee every morning, telling you what to do. Reaffirming that you're getting it done. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that we should all strive to be those people. And in order to be those people, you got to be around those people. You got to learn from those people. You got to ask those people questions. So no matter what position I'm in, I'm always looking for the coffee cup holders. And I'm always looking enough to find them and trap them and ask them like, hey, how did you get here? What books did you read? What school did you go to? What did you go to school for? And one time I actually asked one of my superiors, like, what did you go to school for? And, they said business. Like, I went to school for business administration. So I went to school for business administration. And I got rich. I got rich after I got my business degree. When I first got out the Navy, and school was free, I wasn't thinking about college. I was just thinking about making a couple of dollars. And so where I was from, it was people that was still where I was from making $11, $12 an hour. And I thought that was cool. I'm like, all right, this is what we doing, $11, $12 an hour. So my first job paid $11 an hour out the Navy. And then after that, I kept moving on up from $11 to $13 an hour as an electrician, to $14 an hour as an AC technician, to about 15, 16, 17, 18 as an instrumentation engineer, and so on and so on. And so I just decided to not continue doing stuff and continue working. I wanted to actually give back to the community. And I didn't want to be a rich engineer when my people were still trying to figure things out. So as I was an engineer, it clicked. I'm like, well, I don't want to be the guy making $100,000 a year and not pouring back into the people. So I decided to go back to school to get my teacher certification. I was like, now I'm going to get my teacher certification. So instead of me being an engineer, which is cool, but it's not impactful. There's no legacy building as an engineer. I went back to school to get my teacher certification, and it clicked. You know what I'm saying? It was like, all right, teacher certification, business school. It all just kind of fell into place. And I started teaching for a little while. And over time, it was like, okay, do you want to teach or do you want to get this money? Because teachers don't make no money. So the goal was.
I have so many opinions about that, which I hate because they deserve all the money.
You go teach for a little while, right? But then in the summertime, when you get that summertime off, you go create a business. So that create a business And then in the summer times, you can make a lot more money, but then still be impactful on the kids. And that's where She's Happy came from. It was kind of that summer. It just took off, and I haven't been back in the classroom since, but I'm still impacting the students one way or another.
Calling all sponsors. Black Directory is looking for sponsors that align with our mission and brand. To learn more or to submit a sponsorship request, please visit us at blackdirectory.com/podcast or click on the sponsor link listed in the show notes.
And you can go visit the classrooms. And of course, you're doing so much with your foundations. And I feel like now you found ways to give back. It's just not as that form of a teacher, because there's many ways to be a teacher. But I just love that you always had like that curious mindset, because for some people, they could somewhat have access to someone, right? Like, oh, it's their manager or boss or whatever you want to call it, but afraid to just ask the questions, right? It doesn't mean you're harassing them or whatever's in someone's mind to stop them from just speaking. But I think that was interesting when you were talking about that, is like, hey, like, and sometimes questions are asked throughout time. Sometimes it's not all in one conversation of, okay, let me ask you 10 questions. Sometimes as you find those right moments, read in a room, hey, what school did you go to? Okay, because a lot of times it's naturally going to be a conversation that, that's organic. But I just love that even when, you may have not known exactly where your path was, no matter what position you were in, you always had that curious mindset of, well, let me see what they're doing, and versus, well, I'll figure it out, or they're not going to tell me anyways. Because I think a lot of times our mindset is everything, just how we approach things, maintaining relationships, of course. Like, I remember all of my different jobs and working at Walgreens, working at, on campus, working for John Maxwell team, working for Twitter. It's just like, no matter where I am, how can I make the best of where I am, but I like to see structures. That's something that I love, is seeing how businesses run. Like, oh, what's their culture here? How do they keep us engaged? I just always kind of had that mindset. But it's another thing to ask the questions though, like observing and asking questions.
You got to be curious. I think it's important to be curious, not just now, but for the rest of your life. And what I'll share is the internet ain't that new. You know what I'm saying? The internet been out, you know what I'm saying? It's been out, I mean, not that old. It's been out for quite some time, right? So let's see, Jeff Bezos, he ain't been out, he ain't old. You look at Jeff Bezos, he's like a young man, he's still physically fit, one of the richest men in the world, because he jumped on the internet when everybody else didn't. He jumped on the internet and he became an
saw opportunity
when everybody else didn't. He saw opportunity in people that wanted to read from Kindles or from their phones or from an iPad or something. And people that wanted to read all went to Amazon to read and buy books. And so when the whole world wanted to read, he took that data from the people that wanted to read and started selling them everything under the sun. So if you want to buy a book, then you might want to buy this. If you want to buy this, you might want to buy that. And so that he just created Amazon, right? And so he was only able to create Amazon because it was something new. He was willing to learn something new and try something new. And then when social media came out, let's say Instagram, 2012, I think is when it came out. People jumped on Instagram, back 10 years ago. Some people didn't. A lot of people didn't. But we see people that are millionaires off Instagram, and we see some people that, and then now we're looking at NFTs and crypto and Bitcoin and the metaverse and all these things that are now new again to everybody. And so I encourage everybody to learn it all. Even if you're not going to invest in it or put money in it, just learn it just in case, because you don't want technology to pass you up. You don't want to be the old guy still on the flip phone. You know what I'm saying? Just, you still got the sidekick, the T-Mobile sidekick. I love the sidekick. I wish they'd bring it back. You know what I'm saying? But if you still got the sidekick,
right,
you're doing something wrong, So keep it.
Shout out to anyone listening that may be on a sidekick.
Order BlackBerry, order BlackBerry.
Yeah, you have to upgrade soon. No, though, I see the importance of really having an innovative mindset, right? Like, even if you do have a business, looking for those areas of opportunities, because if you think about it, Jeff could have kept it with the books. Like, you know what? Books are working. It's making us money. Why change? And again, I think everything's going back to mindset and just being innovative of how can we take it to the next level? What can we do differently? Which I think segues great into She's Happy Hair. You know, I've seen some of your interviews and I see that you always have that focus on what's the gaps in the market? What are people not nailing and knocking out of the park? You know, I know you mentioned customer service, but I definitely want to spend some time on She's Happy Hair and first start with just what was the inspiration behind starting She's Happy Hair?
So first of all, shout out to the team. We've been in business for 10 years. So
yay, that's amazing.
history right there. You know, the people don't know us, but they know the brand, and that's all that matters. And so I think it's important to shout out the team first, because you can't do anything great without a team. You can do a lot of good stuff by yourself, but you can't do nothing great without a team. So shout out to the team. The inspiration behind it was, you know, just trying to be great. You know, trying to fill a void, trying to be impactful, trying to be remembered. When we jumped into the industry, there was no industry. You know, there was no industry. It was people selling hair, but it wasn't a hair industry. We created the industry. You know, when we jumped in, there was no customer service in the hair industry. You know, when we jumped in, even the customers didn't know that they wanted 18, 20s, and 22s. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We brought the Happy Meal to the industry. You know, we told them, like, this is the Happy Meal, which we call the Happy Kit, and this is what you should get. This is it's not too long, it's not too short, it's just right. You know what I'm saying? So you should focus on the 18, 20s, and 22s. And so those were our meat and potatoes starting off. And we were able to, you know, make the world happy. You know, when we first started, you couldn't go into any locations across the U.S. and buy and touch hair. It was probably like maybe a couple mom and pop spots, maybe 5 in the whole U.S. that you could walk into and actually get some hair. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else, you had to order online, you had to wait. You know, you would give somebody a couple dollars, your homegirl, your auntie, a cousin, somebody that had a plug, and you would pay them a couple dollars, then you holler them back like, hey, did it come in yet? And they like, nah, it ain't come in yet. You know, so it was that type of service. And so we saw that service wasn't the type of service that our customers deserved. And so we made it to where, you know, not only were we meeting you in parking lots initially with, you know, suitcases or briefcases and duffel bags and all that, and, you know, not only were we coming to you, but we were coming to you with a great quality product. And so over time, instead of us having to go to the customer, we had such great quality product and service in the parking lots that they were starting to come to us. You know,
that's a good sign.
We start marketing the address, and I tell people that's the difference between hustling and having a business. You know, when you hustling, you got to meet the customer where they at. You got to actually drive to the customer or go to a parking lot or, you know, here or there. But when you really got a great product or a great service, all you need is an address. You market that address, and people from all over the world will come to you. And so we started doing that. They started coming to us for the great quality, the variety. You know, a lot of hair companies were only selling Brazilian bundles, right? We sold Brazilian, Peruvian, Indian, Cambodian, Malaysian. We sold it all because when I was in the Navy, I went to Malaysia. You know, I was in Malaysia. I saw when it was time for me to go back to Malaysia when I was a businessman, it was easy for me to go. And so
that's amazing.
I had already been to Indonesia. I had already been to Thailand. And so when it came time for me to go to China and talk to the factory owners, it was easy for me to hop on a plane and go over there where everybody else, you got to get your mind right. You know, it's like, oh my God, I'm about to go to another continent. And for me, that's what I do every day. That's why I got the global. You know, I call myself a globalpreneur. You know, we jumped into the industry with not just the heart and the customer service, but that variety. Nobody wants to go to a certain hair store and you can only get Indian hair, right? Or you can only get a certain type of burger. You want a variety, and so we offered that variety. We offered the customer service experience, or what we call the happy experience. You walk into our stores, you get greeted. We walk bags around the counter. We're wrapping your hair up for you. We make sure that you get top tier service in each and every She's Happy Hair location across the U.S. But that's not all, right? The great product, right? Let's say you used to order online, you order hair, and let's say it's your wedding day, your birthday. Your 3 bundles that come in from some other company that you ordered from, and they all different colors. You know what I'm saying? All different colors. You know what I'm saying? And so you taking the ends on those bundles, and the ends are not what you would expect to be quality. And so that's what we brought to the hair industry. You were able to walk into the store, check the colors, check the ends, get great customer service. We're open 6-7 days a week. And you know that you can return it if you have an issue with it. Not only that, we ship worldwide. You know, a lot of hair companies 10 years ago were just mom and pop stores. They didn't have an online presence. You know, we've been selling hair online since 2012. You know, if you
Yeah,
think about coronavirus, right? When coronavirus hit, a lot of companies just started making money online. You know what I'm saying? Like a year or two ago. We've
that's
been
true.
selling hair online since 2012 via Craigslist. So we was on Craigslist first.
Wow.
Up on Craigslist before we had a website, before Instagram was a thing. We were using Craigslist. We were posting our products on Craigslist. The customers would inquire about it, and we would go meet them everywhere. And that's how we were able to build our revenue to where we could have a storefront and start expanding across the U.S. But shout out to Craigslist, and shout out to everybody
Shout out.
that's starting to make money online. If you whatever you're doing, do it online too, because everybody's making money, but the billionaires are online. So make sure you focus online.
No, I think that's important. I think even speaking of the pandemic, when everything happened, I was living in the Bay Area at the time in Oakland. And I remember so many restaurants that we loved going to, they weren't online. Like, and it was a big struggle period for them because they were trying to hurry up and create an infrastructure. And okay, should I go with DoorDash or Grubhub or whatever? They were trying to figure it out.
All of
And some businesses still closed. Like they just couldn't quite make it make sense
it. Yep.
for what they've built. And I always think of that when I think of just something like what you're saying, just going online. For one, you can serve more people, but it's about being ready so you don't have to get ready. I feel like a lot of companies were scrambling, like, okay, what are we gonna do? I think that's just it's like you all were ahead of your time, really, and it's utilizing your resources. So if it started off with Craigslist mixed with, hey, out the trunk, like what's going on, and it's amazing to see, okay, the quality is there and that's only going to increase throughout time. But really, to me, customer service is what keeps people coming back for the most part. Sometimes people will still be loyal if something's really good, but the service sucks. But especially in the Black community, I think that's something that we all get a lot of slack for, but hope for, as far as like, oh, I just want to be able to say if it's a restaurant, enjoy the food, but get good customer service, or Black businesses just can't figure out that customer service part. So I love that, something that really should be the standard anyways, right? Like really figuring out your audience. How do we create an experience? And that's really what you all did, is how can we create this experience? So, and that's what makes it, goes into longevity, really. Is like, okay, our service speaks for itself and our products. But I do remember just the evolution of hair and being on college and hearing about She's Happy Hair online when I was in, HBCU at A&T in North Carolina. Like, all right, let me get some of this She's Happy Hair, because you didn't really know where else to get it because it was a lot of word of mouth. So you're like, oh, where did you get your hair from? People were super secretive half the time about where they got their hair from. And
Because
it really,
everybody will run out. And nobody, it's like
exactly.
having a hairstylist, right? If you got an awesome hairstylist, you don't want
People are
everybody.
so secretive.
Somebody did your hair and it's amazing. You don't want everybody in the city going to that stylist, because when it's your turn, she booked and busy. And
And
so
then you're like, dang, I shouldn't have told them about.
like, that's the same thing with hair. Like everybody would always run out of hair, So we made sure that always open and always in stock was our one of our slogans prior to coronavirus. Always open, always in stock. 7 days a week, always in stock, because everybody else would run out. They couldn't keep up with the demand, because
Couldn't keep up with
keep
it.
up with the demand, their customers would come to us. They're like, I used to shop over there. And so once you come experience She's Happy Hair, the whole in-store experience, whether it's in-store or online, you're not going back. You know what I'm saying? You're not
And
going
it's
back.
a trust thing, though. I think being a Black woman, hair is such a big deal, whether people understand why we wear extensions or not. The point is, it's like, okay, um, it's such up and down, right? When you're in that phase where you haven't found your like supplier, like, okay, this is the hair company I'm going with. It's like, you don't know, for some people, you don't know if you're gonna get the product, you don't know what it's gonna smell like, what it's gonna feel like, you don't know if all the bundles are the same, or you had a great experience and you order a totally different, thing, and it's just the unknown. And I think, we haven't really talked about it, but beauty supply stores.
Oh yeah,
So of
sure.
course they've been around forever, but the point is you still, it doesn't make you feel like you have trust
No.
because you see all these brands on the wall. You can't really gauge what's quality. They're gonna tell you whatever naturally they're salesmen trying to sell the product. But it's just something cool to see, for one, a Black owned business, and you all being able to create trust, brand equity, credibility, and it's consistent.
Life is about doing what you say you're gonna do. And
Mm.
that's basically it. When we started She's Happy Hair, there were no Black Friday sales in the industry. There were no back to school.
That's interesting
There were no
because we're
anything.
so used to it now, but it's
But
crazy to think of a time where.
to the industry. We brought it to
Mm.
when the hair industry, when we jumped in, there was no industry. We created the industry. Everything that you see from the marketing on Instagram, how they post their customers on there. We started posting and tagging our customers on Instagram first. We started the Black Friday sales, like I said, there were no sales. The beauty supply stores never used to have sales. They
At
just
all.
sales after we started having sales, then they started having sales. And I encourage that whatever industry you're in, you should create a forecast if there isn't one. Just like we did. There wasn't a forecast. Nobody cared about back to school bundles, right? But we made it to where you cared about back to school bundles, and that goes back to collecting data. You collect the data to tell the customer what to care about without ever
Yep.
meeting without ever meeting them. You collect the data from all over the U.S. and then you tell the customer digitally what to care about, when to care about it, why you should spend money on Black Friday. Here's why, because you get to save on this, and all that's in your subject line of your emails. And everybody, all the billion-dollar companies that are in your inbox, be like them. You know what I'm saying? People always ask me like, "Hey, what should I do first? Go subscribe to your neighbor's paper. Go tell your homeboy in this classroom to move his elbow so you can see. And then after you do that, you kind of know what to say to your customers going forward. But for sure, I think it's important to talk to your customers when you're not around.
No, that's good because I was going to ask you, like, do you have any tips for entrepreneurs that are preparing to go into a new industry? For you, this was new or it really wasn't an industry, but someone else that's going into new territory, what kind of tips would you provide?
Biggest is just learn before you earn. A lot of people want to go get this money, but you ain't read the
Yeah.
right books. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna go get this money if you ain't read the right books on how to go get this money? So before I do anything, I always learn. I always educate myself on whatever I want to do. Whether basketball, right? Before I went and joined a basketball team, I went to go practice basketball. I went to go research basketball. I went to go research anything that I've ever wanted to do. I researched it first. So I encourage you, before you jump into any industry, research it. Make sure that the pot is as big at the end of the rainbow that you want it to be. A lot of people, they see a business idea, and just because they want to call themselves the CEO, they start pushing that business idea. And then when you're pushing it, and then you see that pot at the end of the rainbow, it ain't a lot of gold in it, man. You know what I'm saying? A whole lot of work, not a lot of gold. You know what I'm saying? So make sure it's a lot of gold at the end of that rainbow. And so Google some of the salaries of some of these industries, these people that you want to be in, before you just dive into it because you want to be a boss. Make sure the boss pay is up to par. And
That's
then
fair.
also you want to make sure that the products and the services that you choose is something that's going to complement your current brand. Don't go jump into a product that's not something that's going to complement who you are right now. If you jump into something brand new and just outside the box, right, it's going to be you starting from scratch. Nobody's going to trust you. People trust me because of all the different brands that I'm jumping into. I kind of look like or sound like I know how to do something in those industries. A lot of industries are wide open. Don't be afraid to jump into any industry. I jumped into the Kolache's restaurant business, right, in the middle of
Hmm.
coronavirus. I don't know nothing about restaurants, but I can learn, and I'm learning. And I don't know nothing about kolaches and bacon, but I'm learning, and I'm becoming a professional baker now. And so I think it's important to learn whatever you want to do or become before you become it. Because if you become it before you learn it, you'll be scrubbed. It's like the guy in the gym is shooting air balls. You know what I'm saying? Don't be him. You want to be a first round draft pick. Whatever industry you jump into, make sure that your products don't expire. Check the shelf life. I did that. I had to learn the hard way. I jumped into an industry. I didn't know food expired after this amount of time. I had to waste, throw all this food away. Now other products and stuff that I'm jumping into, like I have a company called Life Flex Global, where we sell house shoes. We started that house shoe company in the middle of coronavirus. Everybody was wearing house shoes at home. The world was shut down.
Yeah.
People was getting naked before they walked into the house. You have to kick your shoes off at the door. And, that type of energy. So my mindset was like, okay, well, if everybody wearing house shoes at home and there's no black-owned house shoe companies around the world, right?
Exactly.
Black lives really matter. Show me by going to lifeglobal.com. You know what I'm saying? And go get you some house shoes, because we sell house shoes online worldwide on a slipper subscription service basis, right? So you can order house shoes today, and in 3 months, 6 months, or a year, get brand new house shoes delivered to your doorstep without even having to do any work. And so that's what I call, filling the void, finding a problem and solving. We knew that there would be a house shoe problem, and there probably still is a house shoe problem. When you get home, check your house shoes, see how old they are, see how all that old skin that you got in your house shoes. Call me or go to lifeflashglobal.com. Get you some new shoes, man. Because your feet don't deserve that. Your feet don't deserve that. And so knowing that
I love this plug. I'm like, yes, this feels like a commercial, but I would be moved.
there's always opportunity in the world as long as you're learning and you're seeing some of the world's problems. The biggest thing that I can tell any new entrepreneur is don't just do it for the money, but do it for the data. I'm going to say it again. Don't just do it for the money. Do it for the data too. Because an example I give, which is something I've been sharing on every interview this year and last year and probably for the rest of my life. When coronavirus started, everybody was wearing masks. Everybody had a mask on. When coronavirus started, I had already seen masks. I had already been to China. And they've been wearing masks. They grabbed their cell phone, they grabbed a mask. So they was doing that years before Corona. I remember my first time in China, I was walking around and everybody had a mask on except me. This was back in 2015, 14, something like that. And I'm like, hey, how everybody got a mask on except me? So I was the odd man out because I didn't have a mask on. Now fast forward to 2020, the whole U.S. is in dire need of masks. We can't find them. We can't buy them. They're not making enough of them. And so people started making masks in their kitchen, in their living rooms. People had sewing machines. People was hiring people to help with the supply and the demand. And, people was making masks from the palm of their hands. And I remember seeing all these posts all over Instagram, social media, 6 figures in 6 weeks. I sold this amount of masks, and they was showing the money and everything. They like, look at all these shipments going out. And everybody was winning. Everybody was safe. Everybody got the masks to match their shoes and their belts, and it grew down. And so what happened is all these mask makers were so busy making money that they forgot to make money forever. The only way to make money forever is to get the data. How you gonna they just boss up from you for the rest of their life if you can't talk to them, if you can't text them, if you can't email them, if you can't communicate with them digitally like a business owner should want to, then how you gonna keep making money? Instead, you so busy counting the dollars that you just made that you didn't even think about tomorrow.
You haven't really built your audience and collected data about them to really create a plan, a real plan.
You know what I'm saying? You can easily automatically talk to those same customers periodically because they're going to need another mask. No, they did. They still do. They still need it.
We're still here.
Not too late. You can go check your invoices, go check your Square, your Cash App, however you receive the payments, and go see if those people left some type of contact information so you can reach out to them digitally and let them know you got another round of masks coming. I got the glitter mask. I got a mask that matches the belt that you showed me. I got a mask for that now.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to do it for the data, not just for the dollars. So that's what I would tell new entrepreneurs.
No, thank you. I think that's great advice. I do think sometimes, I think you were saying it before, it's the difference between hustling and creating a business. And to me, that's what that looks like. It's like, I'm not really thinking ahead. I'm thinking right now. I'm just making some money right now. And then you could be back to square one a month from now and just kind of like, oh, shoot, now what? Do I have that email list? Can I contact these people? Did they even know who I am? Have I built that trust? It's so many reasons why that's super important. But I have two more questions for you because I don't want to hold you too long, even though I'm having so much fun. I want to take a second and talk about investment, right? Because I think something that a lot of people will talk about is I need more money to start a business, or I need more cash, um or they may be listening to this like, oh, well, he came from the Navy, he had money saved, right? Granted, everyone can still have that feeling of I need more money to be successful. But I want to talk about what that looked like with She Happy Hair. She's Happy Hair, and just your thinking on just money and investment. How much did you put in, and how was that experience for you?
So, I mean, I get to be transparent, going forward. I'm always transparent, but I don't think I've ever actually said that. I use my unemployment check to invest into She's Happy Hair. You know,
Wow.
I was unemployed. I mean, this is when I actually went all the way into the hair side, right? It was like, okay, we got $800, $900. So we started She's Happy Hair with no loan, no business loan. We never took out a loan. We've grown from $800 to $100 million in sales since 2012. And so we were able to do that by putting all the money back into the business. When we first started, we bought $800 to $900 worth of bundles, worth of product, right? And so we get all that profit from that product went back into more product. And we just kept doing that. Some people, instead of doing that, they try to take out and live off this and, go stunt off
Yeah.
that and take
It's a
this.
time for
I'm
everything.
going to go to the Mayweather fight. You know what I'm saying? I actually had people that did that. People that was on the She's Happy team took the money that we were supposed to be putting back into the business and went to the Mayweather fight. They went to Jamaica. They bought Range Rovers and stuff like that. These are stories. And so when you have that type of people with that type of energy, you're not going to stay in business long because the money's not your money. The money is the business money, and so you always got to have that mindset first that you'll last longer if the business lasts longer. People try to take from the business to take care of themselves when you got to take care of the business first. And so when She's Happy was started, we utilized a few $100s that we had. But even prior to She's Happy was only given that energy because of unemployment. I was unemployed. The CEO of She's Happy, he was a firefighter. I actually reached out to him and was like, look, man, I got an idea. This is one way that we can get some money. And I ain't had no other way to get no money. So I'm like, I don't want to go back to where I was at with a job, right? I want to figure this thing out. I want to jump into entrepreneurship. So why wouldn't I want to jump into entrepreneurship with a firefighter? Somebody that's willing to go into a burning home and rescue strangers. That's the type of person I want to go into business with. So we jumped in head first and never looked back. And it's not about the money; it's about learning how to make money. You can go make some money, but if you don't learn how to make money, you're not gonna keep it. Even prior to that, right? I used to get thousands of dollars back on my income tax check. Every year I would get thousands of dollars back. And we all did it, or we all do. You sit there, you wait on the income tax check, and then you spend it because you don't know what to do with it. And so when I had a business degree and just $800 left, I knew exactly what to do with it. There was no hesitation. I'm like, okay, get this, flip this, do this, do this. Okay, don't spend this on this. The business mindset clicked in because I read the business books. And so if you want to be an entrepreneur, read the business books, let that mindset click in, and then just never stop and keep going. It's important to learn before you earn. Like I said, that's really the key in everything.
And take risk, right? It's like, I know people that everything has to be perfect in the plan before they take a step forward. And I just don't think it works like that. I think you'll miss a lot of opportunities because you're like, you see what's going on in the street and you want to go out there, but you're still kind of peeking outside the door, trying to see what's going on. And it's just like, you have to figure out, what is it? Calculated risk, right? Like it has to make sense, of course, but everything isn't going to be perfect. You could have been like, oh, I have 800, but I need 1,500. Let me just keep waiting. Or, speaking of partnership, shout out to relationships, right? I do think we're meant to meet the right people at the right time and have conversations in a timely way that we don't even understand at the time. But it's just amazing how, just having that relationship and just what it's blossomed into. But imagine if you were kind of scared to do it, maybe he wouldn't have, it's just something where you have to make moves forward. And making moves doesn't always mean monetarily. Sometimes, at some point, yes, you have to put money in, but maybe it is having the conversation, reaching out to someone for more, information, or even writing a business plan, looking up a template online. You don't know what you're doing, but you're at least thinking of it. So
You'll be surprised how many people never wrote a business plan that run business. And that's not a bad thing. A lot of times we spend so much time writing up a plan when you should have been working the plan. A lot of
yeah,
entrepreneurs learn from experience. We don't know what we're doing. A lot of entrepreneurs, we have no
trial
idea
and error.
what we're doing. And when we do it, we learn from what we just did. The innovational entrepreneurs don't know what they're doing. They're first. You know what I'm saying? So they doing it first. And so an example I give, we started financing hair extensions, right? So
That's a big move, though.
it was huge. We started financing hair extensions back in 2014, I think. And so even though we've been doing it for all these years, fast forward to this year, last year, 2020, a lot of new hair companies are just now financing.
It's everywhere now. Or you see financing just,
Shout
I
out.
remember that came out and I was like, as a broke college student, I was like, yes.
People at first, people was like, "Who go finance bundles? What you mean?" Just everybody. Bundles
People
ain't cheap
finance a lot of things.
all the time, and so it's an investment, And so sometimes you want to not spend all that money in one visit. You want to be able to take some of that money home and do something more important with that money, other than buy some bundles. And so I think financing was right on time, but just the fact that we did that and we had to learn how to do it in our industry for the others to come behind us and do it right as well. So somebody got to do it first. So don't be afraid to jump into any industry, and don't be afraid to learn. And if you don't learn it, learn on the fly. You can fail
Yes.
forward instead of failing backwards.
And document your process along the way.
Not failing at something, you're doing everything that you already know how to do. And that sucks. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say it again. If you are not failing at something, that means everything that you're doing is stuff that you already know how to do. You're not pushing yourself. You should push yourself more to where you can fail and get better. That's simple.
Yes. Amen to that. Last is just advice. You dropped so many gems, but if you could just share any advice with Black entrepreneurs or inspiring entrepreneurs, what would it be?
Keep surrounding yourself with people that's doing it or people that did it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, with the world being all online, it's like any social media platform, you can't really tell who's who. So unless I said like, hey, we started my company with $800 and we grew it to $100 million in sales, nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to believe it because it sounds unbelievable. And so instead of following people like myself who have the degrees and the experience and the will to give, you may click on something else to learn more, and it might not be somebody that got the same amount of juice that I have. And so instead of you learning from me, now you're learning from somebody that just said, click here to learn more, that created a nice PDF, nice digital product, a webinar, they put on a good suit, and they're regurgitating stuff that I said. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that somebody else. And so I don't want you to fall victim to those people. So make sure that you do your research and know that you don't have to be on a college campus to learn anything anymore.
Agreed.
You can learn from the palm of your hand now. There's no excuse. We all got the same resources, same tools, the same amount of time to be great. And so be it. Be great. But before you be it, go learn how to be it from somebody or somewhere. And if you're not going to register for college, go register on the University of YouTube or somewhere. Click the link in my bio on Instagram.
Yes.
Any of those things, any of those ways to keep learning and growing is what I recommend. And those would be my last and final words, I guess. Follow me on everything. And thank you so much, Diamond, for introducing me to your platform. I know this won't be the first, it won't be the last time. And so I'm excited about the future. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. This is awesome.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Enjoying the show? Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating and review. Interested in connecting with Black-owned businesses and joining the family? We got you covered. Download Black Directory in both the iOS and Android app stores. Until next time.